In the world of international real estate, Dubai is often described as the city of the future. But navigating that future requires a guide. Today we're joined by a man who does exactly that, Mr. Joshua Pecker, known to thousands of his followers as a senior client advisor at Equity. With a career spanning the most transformative years of Dubai's history.
One of my largest clients here is a multi-family office with 80% of their clientele being African. If we just use the last 5 years as an example in Dubai, the returns that you would have seen if you purchased the right thing, the returns could have been anywhere from 100% to 200% if you bought the right thing. But when you actually compare the UAE, so let's compare Dubai to other major global cities, the average price per square foot is so far behind those other major capital cities. When you break down the UAE, it is ran like a company. It's not ran like a normal city. You've got Sheikh Mohammed as the CEO, and you've got his government officials as the board of directors. And they've got the key plan to make Dubai the #1 city in the world, which is the 2040 master plan. He who dares wins. I think everything is there for the taking for anyone who tries.
In the world of international real estate, Dubai is often described as the city of the future. But navigating that future requires a guide who understands the fine print of the present. Today we're joined by a man who does exactly that, Mr. Joshua Pecker, known to thousands of his followers as a senior client advisor at Equity. With a career spanning the most transformative years of Dubai's history, he holds a rare license and he's built a reputation for navigating the high-stakes world of Dubai. Dubai has had a record-breaking volume of transactions in 2025, and now it's navigating complex geopolitical shifts in the early 2026. Josh is going to take us through his journey, his experience, and why you should be paying attention to what he has to say in today's modern day and age in Dubai. Welcome to the For This Reason podcast, Joshua Pecker.
Thank you. Appreciate the invite.
So lovely to sit with you. I mean, recently you were in Zimbabwe, which was quite an interesting country. What were you doing there?
Absolutely. So one of my largest clients here is a multi-family office with 80% of their clientele being African. So that's all across Africa, from Niger down to South Africa. So it was to essentially go down and just being face to face to talk about the mission of moving certain wealth or diversifying into the Dubai market. Now, my family office that I work with is called Dawiya Family Office. Shout out to them. They help in structuring and providing longevity to generational wealth of their African clients. So structuring their wealth here in Dubai. Of course, I believe the banking system in Africa has a lot of red tape. So I think just educating them on how they can leverage bank finance a bit easier for their business in Africa, here in the UAE. So, of course, as we know, the UAE sort of banking system is highly regulated, however, offers great potential for overseas or multinational businesses.
Why should family offices, wealthy families, royal families, billionaires in Africa, why should they be looking at Dubai as a place to grow their wealth?
I think, look, Dubai is such a central location for business, even more so for Africa. But I think Dubai is a 4-hour flight path from 2 billion people. And it's an 8-hour flight path from 2/3 of the world. So as a central location, forgetting their sort of regulations and structure for finance, I think it's such a core hub. And that is why it flourishes. And then before we go into talk about the lifestyle, the safety, the quality of life here, Dubai really offers everything as a full package. And I think just when you go back into sort of the regulations around finance and the way to do business, it just is such a core. The world needs the UAE, whether that's Abu Dhabi, Dubai. The world needs this location, and it will forever hold strong in that.
As a senior wealth advisor, one would often find that word is ambiguous because a lot of people know of wealth, but not a lot of people are in those rooms. What is it that you do?
So myself personally, I am positioned in the real estate market to advise on the best investment opportunities, so strategically off-plan. Now, of course, off-plan is buying something before it's built to essentially see quite a short-term, in the world of real estate, quite a short-term return on investment. However, of course, we know the real estate game as such is a long-term play. However, the way that the UAE is structured with payment plans and obviously infrastructure coming out the ground like nowhere else in the world, it offers quite a unique short-term return. Now, I get investors looking on the long-term vision, so buying in the most strategic locations that will provide them a long-term rental yield and obviously long-term capital growth. But specifically, I kind of angle it around the short-term returns, because leveraging capital outlay and leveraging your equity is how you see high return on the equity required.
Let's talk about some of those high returns, because people are sort of juxtaposing to say, do I invest in Miami? Do I invest in the UK? Do I invest in Dubai? Or do I invest in maybe a growing economy like India? What are those high returns?
Absolutely. So I think you'll see all sorts of claims for numbers and statistics online. So the equity you've put in, because you can exit it before you have to pay the handover payment, which
That's
is
quite genius. You could exit before the full handover.
Absolutely. And this is where it gets quite strategic, in that every investment needs to be focused around the end user. Who's actually, what is the purpose? Who's going to live here? Where's the demand coming from? So, for example, if we look at DIFC, the financial center of Dubai, there's such a corporate demand there of people who live and work in that location. It's one of the most luxury locations in Dubai with regards to restaurants and entertainment. But you've also got the corporate finance demand. So there's always going to be an end user for that product if you buy the right thing. So I guess it's just looking at the fundamentals around an investment, why someone will live there in the end. And then, of course, if you buy the right project, there's a huge demand all throughout construction of people who still want to enter, whether that's an investor or an end user, because there's always going to be demand for that product. So
a lot of people would sort of say, it all sounds too good to be true. Like it's a bit of a Ponzi scheme, people would think, to say, what if Dubai blows up in terms of the prices? To say, if these prices are appreciating so quickly and investors are making loads of money, what if it all comes crashing down and prices sort of dip and investors lose their money? What are your thoughts around that?
Well, I'm glad you've said that, because I alluded to at the start of the podcast the fact that the last 5 years are quite an anomaly. And I make it very clear to my clients, we might not continue to see this growth. In certain areas, you will. But when you actually compare the UAE let's go closer. Let's compare Dubai to other major global cities. The average price per square foot is so far behind those other major capital cities. So when we look at, let's say, London, Singapore, New York, Miami, for example, the average price per square foot is still so far behind. So we've still got a lot of growth to happen. But again, each and every investment is different, and each and every investment will perform differently. So
could you compare, though, Dubai with London? And I mean, maybe for the viewers' context, where do you come from?
I come from Bristol, which is about an hour and a half from London. I've spent an awful lot of time in London from previous businesses back in the UK. And you can't compare it like for like, but what you can compare is the purpose of the city. So, of course, everyone loves London for the number one, the financial opportunity, the commercial opportunity, but also everyone loves it for the entertainment and the lifestyle that it offers, the shopping, the restaurants, the architecture. Dubai offers all of that, but you've got also the added value of safety. You've got the added value of the weather, of course, all year round great weather. So Dubai actually offers a lot more, in my opinion, than these other cities. And of course, it's such a new country. It's only 50 years old.
So you're saying if property in London is worth more per square meter at the current moment than Dubai,
three times more on
Three
average.
times more on average.
Yeah, we're a third of the price of London on an average price per square foot.
Would you say we're 3 times better than London? Or 2 times better than London? Or
I guess that's personal preference. I've got many people who still spend 6 months of their year in London, but they utilise Dubai through the winter months.
One would often say that the big play here is to sort of say, if you believe that Dubai will ultimately prove itself to be better than London, then you might want to move your money from the UK and rather bring it where you believe.
Absolutely. I mean, when we look at sort of the current geopolitical conflict or the status of London right now, everyone argues it's on the decline in terms of its appeal, its safety, the danger of walking around the streets of London, which of course Dubai has always flown the flag of being that safe haven, not a safe haven from a financial front, from a personal safety front. Where would you want to walk around with your children? The streets of Dubai is the safest place in the world.
Is London really that unsafe? I mean, we have seen a migration of billionaires leaving the UK in rapid numbers to Dubai. But people are sort of saying, aren't they being dramatic? Is London really dying? Is it really that bad?
I mean, I'm quite a realist. I went back to London for a roadshow, a property roadshow in the Dorchester. And when I was walking around the streets, I didn't feel unsafe. I've got to be honest. However, my mother was in London in January last year, had her phone snatched out her hand. And
What?
Yeah.
Where in London?
She was walking by Bond Street.
Is this a regular thing happening in London?
Absolutely.
Where phones are snatched on the street?
Absolutely. I mean, I don't like to get statistical in terms of attacks because it's quite subjective. However,
but I think
there's
these are narratives we're seeing more and more on your social medias and your TikToks. But from an investor standpoint of view, investors are still very much aloof to say this is the Queen's land. London is, we've sort of grown to the illusion that London is the sort of ultimate of billionaire row, and everything sort of started from there. But people in London themselves continually say this.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, look, everyone can manage their own safety on a personal level. So you wouldn't put yourself in a situation where you feel unsafe. You would stay in the core areas. But I'm telling you from a first-hand point of view, my mum did have her phone snatched. I mean, what's it like in South Africa? Is it safe on the streets?
Look, I think South Africa is very dangerous. I think we do have a very high crime environment. But from what we hear from people, it seems like we're the only ones that have that crime. So when we hear people in the UK and in London say that your phone can get snatched, we're a bit surprised to say, oh, we were not aware that we're the only ones that have those sort of issues.
Absolutely. So I think from a wealthy individual point of view, as soon as you start to amass wealth, it goes from sort of income and survival, it goes to sort of safety, lifestyle, and status. So Dubai offers all of those. You have the opportunity for income and the commercial sort of opportunities here, but you also then focus around safety, lifestyle, and status.
Let's talk a little bit about the Dubai haters, because they're out there and they all say, everybody's a Dubai paid influencer, and they say these property guys sell you Dubai so much. And the haters sort of say, what are they not sharing? And I've often heard that narrative a lot, and I've thought that's an interesting question. Surely there is something that the haters are right about. What would you think they're all about?
It's such a different experience living here versus coming here on holiday. I think you have such a mixed population here in terms of people who are not interested in a nice car. They're not interested in going to the fancy beach clubs and spending loads of money, but they're interested in the gym communities. They're interested in just the being able to walk around the park on an evening while the weather's nice. And those parts of Dubai are really what gives the value to this place. Just being able to do what you want when you want, with the best service, the best facilities, just at your fingertips. The service level here is incredible, as you know. And I think it's just those small things that until you live here, you won't feel.
How does the service level compare to London?
I mean, again, it depends where you are, in my opinion. I feel like the service level and the all-round happiness of individuals, if you walk into any one cafe, I'm not talking going into your top restaurants, because service level is expected. However, when I walk into Starbucks every morning, I'm greeted with, "Hey Josh," with a big smile on their face, and everyone's just happy to be here. Interestingly, I actually interviewed one of the Kareem drivers, one of the bike individuals who drop off the food, and I asked him, I said, "How long have you been here?" He'd been here for 18 months. And I said, "Are you happy?" He goes, "Yeah, the work is hard. I work 6 days a week and it's long hours." He said, "But I send so much money home to my family comparative to what I would be able to earn in that country." He said, "I absolutely love it. I'm happy to be here. And it's a gift for my family, for me to be able to be here earning extra money to send home to my family." He sends 2/3 of his funds home. And for him, it's the best thing that's ever happened to him. So it's economies of scale. I think depending on your purpose and really what you want out of life, for me, being here is more than opportunity. It's just the way of life. It is unbelievable. And you will never experience it until you come and try.
I mean, I definitely agree with you in terms of the way of life is completely different. But there's this narrative that everybody's sort of saying, is the UK sort of, the finer parts of the UK are now becoming Dubai, where you walk into a restaurant and 3/3 of the whole restaurant is a whole UK accent, and the running clubs are from the UK, and the gyms are from the UK, and people sort of feel like, oh, actually, I've just moved to an upgrade from the UK. Do you find that the UK integrates easily in Dubai?
I would actually disagree with you there. So I live in a location in Dubai called Creek Harbour, and Creek Harbour is extremely Eastern European, actually, and quite Emirati. So from a British presence point of view, Creek Harbour doesn't feel like that. There's obviously locations of Dubai where you'll feel a huge British presence. And I do think that certain ethnicities congregate to their own sort of locations. However, Creek Harbour, where I live, is extremely Eastern European.
Very interesting. Let's talk about the wealth part. If I've got a lot of wealth and I want to consult with yourself as a wealth advisor or a client, what is the sort of baseline advice that you would give, and where would we start off?
So it all comes down to what your purpose is, whether you're here for a quick return, what your appetite for risk is, and it ultimately comes down to the end goal. So, for example, if you came to me and said, look, Josh, I've got 20 million dirhams. I want to have a portion of long-term rental, high yield income, and I want to see some quick returns to get some of my equity back. We would look at a specific investment that suits that narrative.
And what would that investment be?
So for example, we're right now we're in CityWalk. CityWalk is from a developer called Miras. Miras have developed some of the nicest locations in Dubai: Lumiere, Blue Waters, CityWalk. They are the master developer of the community. So when looking at preserving wealth or growing wealth from a long-term point of view, these are the locations that you want to focus on, because they will forever have a demand. They've got a certain sort of clientele. It's quite premium. And ultimately, they've got a new location called the Design District. Now, Design District is 35% focused around commercial, but it's also on the creek, so it's waterfront, and you have unbelievable views of downtown and DIFC. So this is an investment that I absolutely love, because it's a location that will forever have true value. It's super, super central. It's from one of the best developers in Dubai.
Is it from Miras?
Yeah, developed by Miras.
And why do you believe so? I mean, I've seen Design District. It looks absolutely beautiful. But what would you sort of advise clients to focus on? Commercial or residential within Design District?
I mean, that's interesting. So Miras don't actually sell any of their commercial, which is really, really important to the investment. And I'll tell you why. So everything from their food and beverage, their commercial office space, they don't sell it. They only let it, which means they can only let it to a grade A tenant. So, for example, they've got Prada head office going there, Louis Vuitton head office going there, Tesla head office
in
going
Design
there.
District?
In Design District.
Ooh.
So Design
You're
District...
selling Design District to me right now.
The Design District is...
Well, Elon Musk is going to have his office in Design District.
Well, it's obviously the EMEA headquarters. We'll go there. Now, Design District itself is focused around art, tech, fashion, and architecture.
Tech?
So
you have me there. Cool.
Of course. So you're literally a stone's throw away from DIFC 2.0 and DIFC, which is, of course, the financial district.
Maybe let's start with DIFC 2.0, because everybody's talking about it. What is that?
So DIFC is the Dubai International Financial Centre. I think it's 11th ranked in the world for a financial hub.
So it's like a Wall Street, but in Dubai.
Exactly that. That's exactly what it is. Canary Wharf, Wall Street. This is where the finance is parked. You've got 500. So
the billionaires are there, the family offices are there, the investment bankers are there.
Exactly that. You've got 1,200 family offices. You've got 500 asset management companies with over $1 trillion worth of assets under management right in that location.
And this is the 11th biggest
financial centre in the world.
How did Dubai grow so quickly?
Exactly that. And it's on a trajectory to reach the top 3 very, very soon.
So you've got thrones throw away distance from billionaires and wealth managers all around the world. Exactly. If you're invested in Design District. Now, of course, you've got opportunities to invest within DIFC 2.0. Now, the reason that I mentioned DIFC 2.0 is because Design District is on the water and the way that Miras build a location, I feel it's my money. I'd park it into Design District. I think it's a super sexy investment, and you can do your comparisons of numbers, because all of my investments are focused around the data, the transactions, and we look at what properties have performed like in CityWalk, Lumiere, previous Miras locations. You're buying under the current value of the ready market, and in my opinion, Design District offers a lot more than these locations. So you can just see the growth there. What does it offer? I mean, what does Design District have that other locations might not have?
Because it is a master developed community from one of the government developers.
What does that mean? Let's break it down for the viewers. What is a master developed community?
Absolutely. So a master developed community is something that is controlled, planned, and delivered by one developer. So they create the design for the whole community.
So would this be like a city? Like they sit down and say, we want to, because the word community can be misleading when it sky rises.
Absolutely.
So this is like a portion of the city.
Yeah. So Design District itself, let's use the word district. It is a district that serves a purpose. So again, as I said, it's focused around tech. It's a commercial district, effectively. However, obviously, 60% of that is residential. So you've got a mixture of residential, commercial, entertainment. You've got schools, hospitals, everything in that district. And as I said, the master developer are the one in control of that. And because so Miras, the developer, they sit in Dubai Holdings group. Dubai Holdings is Sheikh Mohammed's personal investment portfolio.
Ooh, maybe you want to explain that to the viewers, because that means, because that's quite a loaded statement.
Yeah, exactly that. So Dubai Holdings are the largest landowner within Dubai.
Okay.
Because they're Sheikh Mohammed's personal investment portfolio. And within Dubai Holdings, they do everything from asset management, entertainment, hospitality, all these different arms. Miras and Nikhil fall into their residential development portfolio. So Miras, as an entity of Dubai Holdings, have been given the responsibility of building design district, as they did with City Walk, as they did with Blue Waters, as they did with Nad Al Sheba. And then Nikhil, the other residential developer, they did Palm Jumeirah. They're doing Palm Jebel Ali. They're doing Dubai Islands. So it's a very strategic, long-term vision that plays into the master plan, which we'll go into. Master Plan 2040 is the Dubai government's long-term plan for how they want to develop the city. And it's all very strategic, which is, again, why we come back to this is where we focus our investment, because it's part of the arc. It's part of the ingrained plan of the city. So you know that it's going to be done to the highest standard with a real purpose. And again, coming back to the lifestyle that it offers, the grade A tenants that will be in the cafes and the commercial space.
It's quite interesting that I'm the podcast host, but now I sort of want to say, well, how do I get my money in? Because I'm sold. But maybe let's just start here. As you're speaking, I'm picturing this to say, this is an Englishman who's coming from the UK. And he's selling Dubai as though it's his country. I mean, your passion is oozing out. How do you think the leadership of Dubai got this right? You're literally selling us a 2040 master plan, and I'm sold. Yeah. And I'm not even from this country. But how do you believe they got this right? I mean, your passion is oozing, but not only is your passion oozing, we're in City Walk, and I can see what you're talking about.
Absolutely.
I'm absolutely sold.
Yeah, absolutely.
How is it possible that they're able to do this?
I mean, look, my family, from my granddad to my mother, my uncles, are predominantly real estate in the UK. So generally buy-to-lets, HMOs, student accommodation. My parents first invested here in 2008. Interestingly, their very first investment hasn't performed in terms of appreciation. They actually potentially bought the wrong thing, which is super interesting for me to see. Of course, they've done other things that have done well.
Just take us through that. What would they have possibly bought 2008 that has unappreciated somehow?
Absolutely. So, of course, they bought it at a very bad time. 2008 financial crash.
Okay.
So
at the peak of that. But by now, I'm sure it's
interestingly, no, because the 2008 financial crash had a wave that caused certain infrastructure to not go ahead. So they bought in a location called Sports City, first of all. Now, Sports City was supposed to be this incredible sort of grand Man U soccer school, huge stadiums, etc. The financial crash sort of didn't necessarily kill that. You can still go to Sports City now, fantastic facilities. However, the specific investment, and it plays into what I advise on now, because Sports City, the individual investment that they bought, of course, delivered, has given them returns over the long term because they still own the property today. However, from an appreciation point of view, it's really interesting to work out why that hasn't performed.
Yeah, and I've never heard of Sports City. This is the first time I'm hearing it. Although the financial crash in 2008 did affect every single country, so we could never blame that on Dubai specifically. Yeah. But it would be interesting to know, are there projects? Is this why you need someone like yourself as an advisor? Because are there projects that are not going to do well?
Absolutely. Fantastic question. So I preach to stick with a certain few developers, to be honest, whether they're government tied or whether they're very well financially backed. And you can always assess this by the leadership within the senior leadership within those developers. So, for example, let's compare two developers right now. Let's look at Beyond and Aldar. Now, Beyond are a sister company to Omniat, the absolute top of the tree for luxury development in Dubai.
They did the Dorchester, the Lana.
Exactly that. They partner with Dorchester. They produce the absolute luxury. They target the top 10% of the market.
They also did a building that the designer did a curved building, I think.
Yeah, the Opus.
The Opus.
The Opus in Business Bay. One of my colleagues has actually got the penthouse for sale now.
Oh, lovely.
150 million dirhams. One of the best units in the whole of Dubai when you look at ultra luxury.
Ooh, 550 million dirhams, you said?
No, 150 million dirhams.
150 million dirhams. Wow.
I believe the office, there was an office that sold in there for crazy money.
Ooh, that's a beautiful building. I mean, we should show it. But from the outside, that curvature, I was like, how did architects get like a curve in? Because buildings are usually structured straight.
Absolutely.
But that curvature is absolutely stunning.
Absolutely. So the architect, a very famous architect, actually was looking at a block of ice melting.
Ooh.
And
Is that the concept?
That's the concept of the building.
That's the building. It just hit me now. That building looks like a block of ice melting.
Yeah. So it's...
But the creativity for Dubai, just to look at a block of ice melting and say, that's a building.
Absolutely. And I think, again, when you come back to look at Design District as their sort of master plan, it will be a super, what's the right word, aesthetic vision, or it will be beautiful when it's finished.
So my first interaction with the Design District was when I went to, there was a festival that they hosted, and I was with one of the gentlemen who works with us on the podcast, and he edits the podcast. And as we're walking down, he says, this place is called Design District. And as we're walking down, he stops in the middle of it, and he's like, what is that? I'm looking at him, I'm like, what are you looking at? And he's like, that's the school I went to in South Africa.
No way.
And I said, what do you mean? He said, that's the school I graduated in Pretoria. And literally, we went in there and we saw, and we're like, whoa, we weren't even aware. And there was all these architectural schools, all these design schools. He studied interactive design. And one of the most beautiful things I saw about that area was it was as though they just smashed up the most beautiful architectural buildings in one area. And it's as though they gave creatives a form of respect.
Exactly.
Because you always go to places and it's always the bankers and the finance guys that have the best buildings. But in Dubai, it's the creatives, the architects.
That's why I believe in and love Design District so much. So you're going to have, for example, Foster and Partners, one of the largest architects in the world. Their head office will be there. So you can only imagine what they're going to create in
designers,
that
creatives. I mean, a Kanye West would probably want to have his offices there.
Absolutely. It's exactly that.
So how much am I looking at? Take my money.
I mean, your starting price there is around 2 million dirhams for a one bedroom. That's your entry level.
But that's quite reasonable because that's sort of much lower than Burj Khalifa and et cetera, et cetera.
Of course. And then if you wanted so one of the opportunities right now that has the Burj Khalifa views, the cheapest you can get is sort of, or the most affordable you can get is 4.5 million.
That Burj Khalifa view does come at a premium, doesn't it?
Well, that's where I see the intrinsic value. If you've got Burj Khalifa view, you're forever going to hold value and it's always going to appreciate. However, what I would say is it's quite interesting. If you look at downtown Dubai right now, of course, downtown Dubai, master developed by Mpho. So one day, the owners of Mpho and the leadership of Dubai sat down, they planned downtown Dubai.
The masters of Mpho, I mean, every building you see in Dubai, Mpho.
Of course, so again, that's master development. So they planned the whole infrastructure, the roads, how it all works, the tunnels, everything was master developed.
From planning to execution, it's a property developer.
Absolutely. Which of course has ties to the sovereign wealth fund of Dubai, and it's a government developer. So they follow the true master plan, which is again why we come back to look at those like Miras. However, when Mpho sit down and develop this, of course, you've got a mixture of buildings. You've got some premium buildings. You've got some other buildings. But the reason that I brought up downtown Dubai is, of course, Burj Khalifa views have forever been the best performing assets.
Of course.
And of course, now it's all said and done and it's finished and it's bricks and mortar. If you were looking for an investment overlooking Burj Khalifa, your rental yield actually wouldn't be that good because the price tag for that unit is so high.
So it's already appreciated.
Yeah, it's already appreciated. It will continue to appreciate for sure because Burj Khalifa views will forever hold its value. However, from an investment point of view, that's why you need me to tell you, right, let's look at Design District because it's at the bottom right now. So,
and you still have the Burj Khalifa view.
And you can buy the Burj Khalifa view on the water, which also downtown doesn't have. You might have the fountain view, but you don't have you don't have the creek. And I think to buy there now, Design District will become one of the most valuable locations in Dubai in 6-7 years' time.
I believe that. I truly believe that. And I think I've sort of heard people talk about other areas that do not have the Burj Khalifa view. And I say the story of Dubai is incomplete without the Burj. It's incomplete without that center.
Yeah.
And I think it's a phenomenal architectural masterpiece.
But I will say, so obviously I mentioned the entry-level one-bedroom, which is 2 million dirhams. Now, although you don't have the Burj Khalifa view, you're buying into the community. So when I advise my clients, I express the fact that when you purchase in a location like Design District, you're not just buying into the building, you're buying into the infrastructure and the community and the end goal of Design District. So yes, you might not have a preferable view with a 2 million dirham purchase. However, you will always have a tenant for that unit, because let's say a single individual who's a corporate worker works for one of the art galleries or architects, they will desire that unit to live in that location because it's super sexy, all the nice restaurants, cafes, waterfront. Like, that is why that has value. Even though it doesn't have the Burj Khalifa view, you're buying into the community. Whereas you could go just over the road where you've got Mohammed bin Rashid City, and you could buy in a Shoba building, which is of course slightly cheaper, but you're not part of Design District, and it's what's on your doorstep. So you step out into City Walk right now where we are, and you know that it's just absolutely beautiful. So that's why they have a great rental yield and appreciate so well. Even for your entry-level bottom floor, 1 bedroom, still performs well.
Top 5 developers in Dubai. Number 1?
Oh, that's a hard question. My favourite, I think right now, new to the market, again, I mentioned a moment ago, Beyond. I think what Beyond are doing...
I've heard that name, but what have they done?
So again, they haven't handed anything over just yet.
Oh.
They entered the market around 18, maybe 20 months ago. Their first master community is in Maritime City. What they are building there is absolutely insane. So again, as I said, sister company to Omniat. Omniat were only attacking 10% of the market. So they knew, rather than damaging the Omniat brand, they had to create something else to target the mid-tier and the luxury level before you go ultra luxury. And they have, their COO is a lady called Rasha Hassan, one of the most respected individuals in the UAE real estate market. So she's ex-Mpho for 10 years, ex-Nikhil for 10 years,
Ooh.
super respected in the market. And what they're creating, and the plots of land they have across Abu Dhabi, Dubai and Ras Al Khaimah are the best plots in the city. But what they're creating and the price that they come in at and the payment plans they offer just makes so much sense for an investor. So they would be my number 1 right now. Again, so crazy for me to say that as an advisor, because there's no end product to show you. However, you look at the leadership, you look at what the leadership have done in the past,
experience,
and you have that trust.
And the city you say they're building on is called?
Maritime City,
Where
which
is
is just 10 minutes to the coast from where we are now in City Walk. It's you could argue a new residential waterfront location. So there's some existing residential there. However, just off of Maritime City, you have Mina Rashid and Yacht and Marina, which is master developed by Mpho. So you know this location in 5 years' time is going to be a super demanded place to live, because you're 15 minutes from DIFC, 20 minutes from downtown. So again, a lot of corporate workers who work in the downtown area will desire to live by the sea, of course, because it's on the coastline. And when you look at the price per square foot, so you can buy there right now off plan for around 3,500 dirhams per square foot. If you just go 2 miles down the coast to Lumaire, which is Miras, you're looking at 7,500 dirhams a square foot. So the growth within Maritime City is huge. And again, it's finding those opportunities with developers like Beyond, with developers like Mpho. If you're looking from an investment point of view, you're going to have a huge demand for end user, from corporate staff and just individuals who want to live by the sea in a very well-developed location.
I've never heard someone talk about property in such a passionate way, especially about appreciation. But you say it runs in the family. Tell us a little bit about where this love for property birthed in you.
I mean, look, it's offered, to be honest, when I was at school, so I always assumed I would go into the family business of buy-to-lets. So buy, renovate, rent is the model, never sell.
Are you a rich kid of London?
No, not at all. I interestingly went into the family business for a year, and I realised this was not what I wanted to do from a hands-on point of view. So
how big was the family property portfolio?
Quite large if you looked at the whole family. I think 50 plus properties, just general sort of buy-to-let, so apartments.
So you are a rich
in
kid.
Bristol.
Let's just get that out of the way.
I mean, I was never treated in that sense. So I always knew that if I was going to make something of myself, I had to do it off my own back. So I actually took the leap to go into recruitment, because recruitment was a low barrier to entry, no experience, just needed...
So you rebelled and you said, I'm not going to just fall into my parents' control, I'm going to do my own thing.
Well, if I'm honest, again, you come back to the rich kids of London, like I didn't see quick high income for me doing that, because it was a basic, very basic salary to be on the tools, building the family business, of course, but I wasn't earning much. So, and it was
you had strict parents.
Yeah, very, very strict in terms of what I was given. So I think I always wanted more, and the mindset that they instilled in me was to go and get more if you want to. So I went out, did recruitment, because it was recruitment's obviously commission based.
Yeah.
If you
fast money.
Yeah, if you work hard, you can earn good money, and I did for 2 years. So I all of a sudden realized I worked for quite a large recruitment company called Hayes, the largest recruitment company in the world. And I realized straight away how much of the money I was earning they were taking. So I went and set up.
Are you able to maybe share some of your high earnings in those months?
So I think my best month was around £9,000 after tax. So.
Okay. Oh, that's very good after tax. So before tax.
Well, again, it's always good to look at the best month. But I think that was really the ticking point for me to realize, well, if I went and did this on my own, that would have been £50,000 in my pocket, not 9,000. So I went and set up my own recruitment company.
Oh, you actually did it?
Yeah. Yeah, which was in 2019. So summer of 2019, I left my job, sold my car to fund my new business. Which was
why did you not go back to the family business and say, hey guys, I need funding?
That wasn't just not an option.
Wow.
It just wasn't an option. Now, don't get me wrong, I'm very fortunate. I'm not going to deny that. But I think the best thing my parents gave me was the moral support. So even coming out here, the moral support of being here is really like, you can go and get it. But I think
your parents raised you very well.
No, my mum is an absolute angel. She really is. She's one of the hardest working individuals I've ever met. Still to this day, she's 54 years of age. Oh, no, she's 59. Wow. It was her birthday just recently. She came to visit. 50,
Shout out to your mom.
59, she still works 7 days a week. Ridiculous, works through the nights. You know, I tell her to calm down, but she won't. But
and still in property?
Yeah, still in property. And then her father is still in property. He's 87, and he still works 7 days a week. So for me to choose not to work is not an option.
Sure. Cool. So now you've sold your car, you've opened up your own recruitment company.
Absolutely. And it was tough for the first 4 months to get off the ground. So the company was called 10% Recruitment. So I was undercutting the market, and
you were giving everybody 10% discount.
Yeah, well, in recruitment, quite a big part of what you do is obviously trying to win business, so business development. And that was always the hardest part. So I thought if I can cut the cost, well, from a personal point of view, the cost for me was working for the agency, which of course business development was quite easy because you had a big brand behind you. Whereas I was only getting a fifth of the earnings. So now I knew if I just do 10%, I'm getting half of what the commission was for the agency, but I'm still earning more for myself. So it was a very easy business model. I would go out to SME companies that maybe were up to 50 million turnover that didn't have an internal recruitment process, and I would offer that from a personal point of view. Like, I'm here to be your bolt-on recruitment arm. Now, it was very, very successful, but of course we hit COVID. So yeah, it was very successful. For the first 6 months, I was like, wow, I've done the right thing. This is the best thing ever. And then of course, COVID really put a dent in that. So carried on doing it for around 12 months post-COVID. So, but then a friend of mine, I was helping him with his invoices in the fiber optics business. So building broadband networks for small cities.
Just before we get to the fiber optics, I want to go back to recruitment, because Stephen Bartlett says something very profound, and shout out to his podcast, Diary of a CEO. But he says that he believes that recruitment is the best component of a business. And he says it's a bit like collecting the best people in the world, and they come and they build a business.
Absolutely.
Is that what you found recruitment is all about?
For sure. Hire fast, fire faster. So your people are what will make or break your business. Don't get me wrong, cost management, I think, is also one of the key factors. So spending minimal, what comes in, don't let it go out. But people is everything within a business, for sure. People that understand the values, believe in the mission, and are rewarded for that. So trust of your employees is absolutely key. So just moving into the fiber optics business, I ended up in 18 months building a business of 43 direct employed staff.
In
the fiber optics.
Okay, let's go into it. So you hear you're helping your friend out, you're seeing the invoices. What are you seeing?
So I just saw how much he was earning on his own. So he was self-employed, contracting to companies that we aspired to be like. Well, eventually aspire to be like.
Which are these companies that you aspire to be like?
So, for example, in the UK, fibre optics became massively... So BT had a monopoly of the market. And then I think in 2019, the UK government decided, right, BT can no longer have the monopoly. We're going to fund some of these smaller entities to build their own networks within these cities because BT just had the control over it. So you had the likes of GigaClear, Netomnia, all of these companies coming out who now are able to build the infrastructure and also sell the internet to residents. So there was an absolute boom from 2019 to 2022 where there was huge government funding, private equity-backed funding to build these companies that now can provide internet to the residents of the UK. So there was a huge opportunity for contractors to, obviously, you have the entity, let's say GigaClear, who build the network, and they would contract to a contractor to build it for them. So they would be the ISP, the internet service provider, and they would contract it to the contractor, which was what we became. So very quickly, we realized there was a huge opportunity to capitalize on this, and we grew from two of us to 43 of us in 18 months.
Wow.
Which was way too rapid growth, and actually...
So you came in with your experience of human capital and bringing in the right people. And
for sure. I think just, again, you come back to the recruitment point. I think understanding how important people are and benefits for employees and getting your employees on side of the mission. And we could really we called our team the Lions. Because, of course, you're out on the ground, you're pulling cables. It really felt like it was a mission that we were all on. Wow. And it was so successful and went really, really well. I was going to say something else before you said that. But
No, so you were telling us your journey. I mean, you started off in the recruitment company where you did very well. You sold off your car. You started your own company, did very well. COVID happened. You saw the invoices of your friend. And from those invoices, you grew the company to 43 employees. And from then on, it's because we were trying to get, when did the jump come to Dubai?
So 2023 May, my company won Fibre Contractor of the Year at the UK Fibre Awards, which was just unbelievable. Wow. But if I'm honest, that was the turning point for us in terms of the market became really tough. As I said, there was a boom from 2019 to 2022. And then all of a sudden, government funding was extremely hard to get. The private equity money was sort of drying up because it takes time to build the infrastructure and then actually see the return for the private equity companies. So once you get the subscriptions for the internet, of course, it all just kind of was grinding to a halt. Now, I actually structured the business wrong. Ultimately, we hit a tough patch and I had to make some very tough decisions. 43 employees that I had to effectively pay their mortgages for them every month. And it got to the point where it wasn't that I had enough. I just didn't see the industry having longevity. Yeah, that's so I made the tough decision to get out, which was June 2024. So what we now, March 2026. So at the same time, I had spent 6 months here in 2020 doing my recruitment in Dubai.
Okay.
So I was working from my laptop, obviously still doing my agency, working from Dubai, and I realized this was where I wanted to be. Of course, it didn't play out that way. But then as soon as the business in the UK finished, I knew, right, Dubai was where I wanted to go. Of course, property was always watching my parents do what they've done. Yeah. It made a lot of sense to come here and do this. I've got multiple contacts in Dubai who do the same thing. And I feel like as an advisor, if you've got analytics and you understand investing and you can really break down what is good and what's not. And obviously it helps that my parents have had the experience of investing in Dubai. It made a lot of sense and it's gone very, very well.
I'll tell you why I think you're brilliant, because I've heard a lot of property agents speak and a lot of people in real estate, and they seem to chase a developer who they're working with. A lot of the big names, like, not butchering anyone's name, but these brand names,
Absolutely.
But the fact that you went for the most sustainable, the vision bearers of Dubai, Mpho, Miraz, Nikhil, and literally those are the people that built the reason why people come here.
Yeah.
Just shows me that your thinking and your understanding of property is very much the long game, which is very important.
It's super important because ultimately, if you buy with the long game and the end user in mind, you will still see the opportunity for quick returns. And of course, the quick returns kind of come from leveraging payment plans. However, I've got many investors who are buying to hold anyway, so that's super important. But I always get told, you've only been in the market for 18 months. Like, you don't know anything. But ultimately, Dubai is the most transparent city in the world. You have every transaction ever within the property market. So as long as you take the time to study and understand why certain areas have performed, you can see all of the transactions for every single property that has been bought off plan to when it is sold today, you can see how many times it's been bought and sold, and you can really study the market and understand why it's performing, whether that's based on infrastructure or developer, or you can really break it down. But I think just going back to the developers themselves and why I focus on them. Now, don't get me wrong, there's huge opportunity with other private developers, and you can pinpoint those, but in this market, they're few and far between. And what I would say is a lot of people follow the big marketing campaigns of the likes of Damac, Bengati, Shoba, these huge developers who build huge projects, huge amounts of supply. But that doesn't necessarily mean they will perform from a return point of view. Now, I do believe they will deliver on time, and you will get what you pay for. But again, when you look at the supply versus the demand and the metrics of that investment, this is what I do. I break it down for the client and I talk them through it.
I mean, I want to sort of go back to the UK, and I want to ask you a question to say, you've sort of seen the best of both worlds. You've seen the UK on its rise and its good years, and you've seen things go very bad there. And you've seen Dubai sort of rise. Where do you think the UK is getting it wrong?
Where are they getting it wrong? I mean, from a landlord point of view, so a property investor, taxes are just really damaging the market. So my brother's in Airbnbs. And there's new rules and regulations and taxes coming into the Airbnb market. So that's now getting squeezed. We had an absolute boom in 2020, 2021 because, of course, we couldn't travel and the market in the UK for staycation was really, really booming. Gave a lot of opportunity for Airbnbs, but then all of a sudden the government don't like the fact that investors are making so much money. So again, they like to take some of that. And again, put in regulations, it makes it really tough. Again, rules and regulations around tenants in the UK, the tenants' rights is really making it tough for landlords in the UK.
So they can't get evictions if someone's not paying?
Yeah, there's all sorts of things, evictions and taxes. And I think it just really, the attitude towards pro-business in the UK is just completely diminishing and getting worse. And I don't think it matters whether Conservatives are in power or Labour's in power. Both of them are not helping the situation. Whether that's because of the way the country is run, and I don't really want to go into politics too much, but you see a lot of things that is against the hardworking man and sort of for the individual who necessarily doesn't really want to grow.
And I think that's a painful experience that a lot of people talk about in the UK, to see their money being spent on, things that they don't necessarily support is a painful decision. Whereas Dubai, you don't have taxes, and yet you're defended by the military and you're seeing all this protection, and you're actually wondering, whoa, I haven't even paid for this, and you're quite impressed.
I mean, I'm a super logical person, and obviously we can appreciate the facts of why potentially there's no income tax, but I think it's living in a non-democratic society like the UAE, where you don't have to vote and decisions get made very quickly. So if they decide, right, we're going to build this, here's the budget, let's go, and it's done in 5 years, that is super pro-business. So if you're in the UK, I think there was a road, a road network that was built from London to maybe Northampton. I think it cost something crazy like £300 million over 5 years just to get approved. So the budget and the time it takes just to get something through the door in the UK, I think is just the opposite to what this place shows. And I think that's why it attracts so many people. Forget business. I think this place is so attractive because of the safety and the lifestyle, the quality of life here. And I'm not talking going in beach clubs and partying, for which what tourists will see. I'm just talking about the general quality of this place, the cleanliness, the service level, and the facilities you have in this place, and safety being the number one factor, is why this place attracts so many people, before we even talk about the benefits of running a business from here.
Very interesting. I mean, when we look at the property market, and you're telling us about these prime spots, and you speak about master developer. Let's talk a little bit about that. What is a master developer's end game? Is it that they control that region or that area for the longest of time? What is it to the viewers that might not understand it?
So the Dubai government have the Master Plan 2040. They also have the D33 agenda. The D33 economic agenda is to triple the economy by 2033. So it's a clear plan for the financial and the economic side of it. But the Master Plan 2040 is based around the infrastructure and what they want to create. So, for example, 400% more greenery in the city, 20-minute city, so connecting all the key areas with the travel infrastructure to make sure the city is commutable. You then, of course, have the population growth. So they want to reach 7.5 million people by 2040. Of course, we hit 4 million last year, at the end of last year. So they have a clear vision for how they're building the city and what they're building and why. And everything has a purpose. And of course, as I said, the budgets are put in place to make sure this is doable. Now, you have a few key developers underneath that, which are building the core infrastructure. So, for example, within the master plan, you've got 5 key locations. You've got Creek Harbour, Expo City. You have got Dubai South and the 2 existing locations, which is Marina and Downtown. Sorry, I've missed one out there. You've got Creek Harbour, Dubai South, which is Expo City, Marina, Downtown, and Old Dubai, which is Bur Dubai, Dira, which they're going to rejuvenate.
Oh, they're going to rejuvenate Dira. That's quite ambitious.
Yeah, well, absolutely. I think it's super important because that is the heritage, that's the culture. There's a lot of wealth in Dira. Gold money, old money. And the government have a key plan to make it all connect for a reason.
So they're going to make each of these key areas walkable for the residents that are in there.
So they've got many ambitious plans, which is like a 90-kilometer walkable and cyclable indoor loop, which who knows when this will happen. But all of this is supposed to be done by 2040. And let's see what happens. But I think it's, again, when you come back to looking at the UK and the UK government and
what is the UK 2040 plan? I was about to ask.
Exactly that. And what they provide for the lifestyle of their residents. So the key is the government want to make this the best city in the world. The plan was made in 2021. By 2023, they become number 3. So when you break down the UAE, it is ran like a company. It's not ran like a normal city. You've got Sheikh Mohammed as the CEO, and you've got his government officials as the board of directors. And they've got the key plan to make Dubai the number 1 city in the world, which is the 2040 master plan. So it all follows a very strategic plan, and it's just why this place makes so much sense for investment now. This is really the starting point. And when you come into like the master developers who build the core infrastructure, it's a guarantee that this place is going to succeed. You just need to make sure you buy the right thing.
And what about the fearmongers that are saying, well, you're in the safety, or rather your safety is questionable and all of this that's going on? What has been your experience with everything that's going on in the region?
I have been very vocal that I have not felt danger. So it all kicked off on Saturday the 1st of March, was it? Sunday morning, 2nd of March, I was playing golf. So everything stayed operational if you want to. There was advice to stay indoors. You get alerts on your phone. But if you want to get out, the government provide the entertainment to go and do that. So the golf courses were open, all the email outlets, so all the shopping malls were open as normal, the restaurants, bars, cafes, beaches, everything has been open as normal. But the advice was stay indoors if you wish. If you want to protect yourself and feel like you need to, yeah, of course. But it's a certain sort of perception of it. Now, I don't feel in danger at all. And of course, certain individuals have seen certain occurrences differently. So if you were on the Palm when the drone came down on the Palm, of course, you'll be impacted differently to those who only saw it on the video. So of course, there's an increased level of danger right now. What I would say is the UAE is not a target. There's US military bases here, which of course is Iran's target, the US military base. And because the UAE have, so say, been on the US side, we are in that firing line. However, there's obviously negotiations going on at the top that the UAE don't want to be dragged into this. And it's not fair that we're dragged into this because this is not our war to fight. We don't want to fight it. And without getting political, the reasons behind the war, the UAE don't want to be a part of this. And I think what will happen now is as soon as the post-conflict, you'll have relief of where people realise, right, this wasn't our war, we weren't part of it. The safety and the operational side of Dubai carried on as normal. It goes from Dubai being viewed as a potential risk to proven resilience. So the city becomes even more of an attraction because people have gone around their daily life. There has been minimal fatality or minimal injury. And I think it really has proven that the elephant in the room, which was always Iran in the Middle East, if this is the worst case scenario, then I think we've survived it very, very well. And I think when you actually still do the comparison to other major global cities and the danger of living there, I think this place has proved itself from the leadership and the operational side of it during the worst case scenario.
In your 18 months or about 2 years now that you've been in the Dubai market, how many properties have you sold?
I've sold about 40.
40?
Yeah.
In 18 months?
Yeah, it's gone very, very
You're
well.
a beast.
Some of my colleagues say they reckon it's the best first year in Dubai real estate
Yeah,
for what I do.
How much money did you make? Don't worry, there's no tax man coming from the UK.
I've made around 2.
Total sales volume, how much is that?
Total sales volume about 160 million dirhams.
160 million dirhams in 18 months. You might have broken a record.
Yeah, I mean,
How old are
I
you?
love to. I'm 30. I love to look
30 years old!
at. I love to
What's
look
wrong with you?
It's been a test, to be honest. I think I'm speaking to international businessmen and women who
You're younger than me.
who need to really. You don't look it, mate. You look 25.
Sure.
No, I think
160 million dirhams at the age of 30 within a space of 18 months.
yeah, it's been a test, to be honest, because I think that was the one risk that I saw was that why would someone put their faith in me? And I think it comes back down to really how you articulate what they're looking at, because any international businessman will do their own due diligence. So what you tell them needs to add up. But
And your commission? How much has been your commission?
we'll go past that. No, it's been great. It's been great. No, again.
Does that explain the Rolex on your arm there?
I think at the same time we're in a commission-only role, and times like this where there's uncertainty in the market, it proves why we're on commission-only. Because I could not make any money for 6 months to a year now. Who knows what's going to happen?
What's the end goal? What do you see for yourself in the next 10 years?
Do you know what? I love my job so much. I've had many offers to set up an agency with my investors, where they think, right, there's an opportunity here to
I definitely think you
to
should
go
set
out
up
on
an
our
agency,
own. I've got massive loyalty to the CEO of my business, Emre Yar. He's really inspirational. He's done very, very well. 10 years, British Turkish individual, grew up in Tottenham in the UK, Turkish ethnicity. He's really given me so much vision and knowledge to what can be achieved, and how and why, and networking and how investors perceive you. But again, I was just going to say a moment ago about looking up to certain agents in the market. There are some amazing operators in Dubai real estate, and Dubai real estate gets quite a tarnished global opinion.
It does. And the worst I've heard is that every female in the real estate agency is selling herself. And I thought that's so
No. Interestingly, I see it firsthand. I've got three women in my off-plan team. They often get offered some crazy offers, but they're so intellectual, so knowledgeable.
Crazy offers? What type of offers?
Do you want this handbag? I'll buy you this handbag. Let's not talk about apartments right now. Come out for dinner with me. All sorts of offers, like from obviously investors, and it's funny for us to see it firsthand. And I often
Do those investors
and
buy the properties at the end of it?
I often wonder if I was a female, what I'd be deciding on.
Have you ever had any females maybe offer you?
No, nothing like that. I've sold to females for sure, but yeah, no crazy offers of
yet.
weekends in New York. No. No, I think this week has proved to me the intellect in our office and the true knowledge between our team and really how this market is seen as you don't have capable individuals, but there's some very capable individuals who could run massive businesses if they wanted to. But we choose to buy real estate because number one, it's the best and most the market in the world with the most potential. So you can see why it draws in good operators and good individuals to it.
Let's talk about your habits, because we have a lot of young people that watch this podcast and they want to know, what are the successful habits of a young achiever? What are some of your habits that you sort of practice?
I'm so glad you've asked me this question. I am completely sober. I'm completely obsessed with my health and wellness, but I'm so obsessed with my job. I work 24/7. I do not go out partying. And it's just something that I feel like has played into my hands of the success of the first 18 months, because it's work or nothing, to be honest. Yeah, my habits are strict. I think that's needed, especially to break through into this market. Don't get me wrong. I think I'm missing a huge opportunity of networking potential in the high-end restaurants and clubs.
You're not missing anything from not partying. You're definitely not missing anything.
And that's the way that I see it. I think I've got waking up at 5 a.m. and being ready to answer the next phone call that comes through, I think plays into my hands a lot more than potentially meeting a wealthy individual in a club. But yeah, I think if for any individual that's looking to come over and potentially make it in Dubai, I think you need to be extremely strict And actually, for me, it's about almost building that reputation as well. About Josh is completely dialed into his work, and I think that's what investors who are spending multi-million pounds want to hear.
Who's been some of your most influential mentors or guides or books that you've read?
External from real estate. Quite an interesting one, actually. There's a guy called Oz Perlman, who is a mentalist. I read his book recently called Read Your Mind. Now, he effectively is a professional in reading body language and manipulating your thoughts. However, recently, his purpose has been completely debunked. But I was so believed in him. And the reason that I mention him is because he is actually still super, super psychological in reading body language and influencing your actions. And just when you watch his content, it's really, really impressive. Now, I've found out that some of the tricks or things that he performs is actually not so true. However, you can still see how professional he is in the way that he reads a room and actually leads a room.
So are you leading this room right now? Are you?
I would say you are, to be honest. No, I think I've always been.
I saw what you did there.
I've always been interested in the human sort of psychology and the way that humans act, because I think that's such a core thing. Because when all is said and done, it comes down to relationships and what you can offer to someone aside from what you can give them. I think how you interact with someone is super, super important.
In terms of sales, what type of, or who are the guys out there that you look at, you think these guys are quite beasts when it comes to sales, or do you not look at them? Your Andrew Tate, your Gary Vee.
My Andrew Tate. I mean,
are you sort of into them, or you're like, not my cup of tea?
It's interesting you mentioned Andrew Tate. I met him for the first time face to face in my apartment building at Dress Creek Harbour the other day. Look, Andrew Tate is super, super controversial. But what I will say is he is one of the best communicators on the planet in terms of off-the-cuff intellect, logic, knowledge that he can just spin off his tongue on any subject at any time. Just that is impressive to me. Whether you like what he says or not, the way that he articulates and gets the message across to people on camera as well, which is super, super hard. Obviously, I'm very big on my social media, Off-Plan Josh, if you want to find me on Instagram.
We're going to put your handle, don't worry, Josh.
No, I think, again, being on camera and being able to block out the noise of the camera and provide knowledge and logic off the cuff, very intellectually, is super impressive. Again, you could argue Donald Trump is a master at this. Although I think his tactics are very different to Andrew Tate. Charlie Kirk was absolutely amazing at it. If we look from a business point of view,
Charlie Kirk is the pastor.
No, he was a political speaker in the US, the one that got assassinated recently.
Yeah, but I think he was like a pastor.
But what I loved about Charlie Kirk and forget his views, and
he was from South Africa.
Was he? Possibly.
Oh no! Maybe
no, I think he's American. But
okay, but there's a lot of South African people that were very invested. Yes, yeah.
So I think forget his views. What I loved about Charlie is he would sit down, he would allow someone to come and ask him a question, and he would come back at you with such a logical response through knowledge. I don't want to go into any more political. Joe Rogan for me is interesting because he's not your polished article, but he's super responsive, super engaging with the way that he talks, and for me that is what I love to watch, is someone who can just stand there. Jimmy Carr, comedian, absolutely amazing at wit, off the cuff wit is really, really impressive.
Are you married?
I'm not. I'm single.
Okay. and what does the future look like for you?
I think, look, I take every day as it comes. Dubai is a fantastic...
You said you're single, sorry. Does that mean you're so focused you're not in a relationship?
Yeah. Exactly that.
Okay.
Yeah, I'm
Speak a bit more about that.
I think... Am I ready to settle down? I think if the right individual came along who adds value to my life and I can add a bit of value to their life, I think then I'll know straight away. But right now, I'm not interested in going to meet someone for the purpose of meeting them, because I'm so focused on what I want to achieve. And I think when I achieve it...
What is that you want to achieve? I mean, you've already hit 160 million volume sales. What are you trying to get to?
I think clearly from what we discussed earlier in the podcast, I was building a business that hopefully would effectively fund or give me the passive income that I need to then live. That obviously went south. And from square one, when I moved to Dubai, I had to rebuild. So completely at the bottom of the barrel. So of course, I'm now building my passive income. So getting to a point where realistically, I don't need to work to live.
And how much
as much as I will work for the rest of my life, I think you need that purpose, you need that goal. But hopefully, I'll work on different things that actually. I don't know whether we look at starting an agency. For me, I don't want to be a manager. I enjoy the job too much. But I think building that passive income for me right now is the mission. I've got a clear 5-year plan of what I want to achieve. And then at that point, I'll probably make a decision if I want to carry on. But I do feel like...
Clear 5-year plan? I mean, 30-year-olds usually have a weekend plan. You've got a clear 5-year plan.
Of course, it's broken down to the quarter. I know what I want to do this quarter. And
are you smashing every quarter?
Yeah, it's going very, very well. I mean, I was the biggest...
What keeps you so driven at 30 years old for you to have a 5-year plan when most 30-year-olds have a plan for the weekend?
I think it comes back down to the mindset my parents instilled in me. I think that's super important. And I was talking at the Zimbabwe Business Summit, I was talking to multiple families there who are in the process of handing down the generational wealth to their children. And there was a key topic by the speakers about whether your child is ready to take over your business or how you nurture them into that, or whether you should look at selling the business, invest it into other passive to preserve the wealth. Now, I think the key topic that I was, or the key message that I was portraying to these individuals is I think the mindset you can give to your child will tell you straight away if they're willing and want to take over your business. You'll know by the age of 18 if that individual is in line to inherit the business, or whether you need to look at other avenues. Now, not every single child, they might have a good mindset, but they might be passionate about art, or they might be passionate about something else. Like, for example, my mother had a children's nurseries. I never wanted to run children's nurseries. So for sure, it was clear that we didn't follow the family business in that sense, but we followed the real estate. So I think mindset is absolutely everything. And not necessarily a business mindset, a mindset of happiness and drive. So you don't necessarily have to be driven to succeed in business, because I listened to a podcast recently, Chris Williamson, and there was an individual on there talking about the hunger for wealth. And they said about how a billionaire who should be very respected for the fact they've created a business that is so ingrained in humanity, they should be respected for that. But when you actually look down to the deeper side of maybe their day-to-day life, they're so tied to that business, and they probably don't, they can't wake up in the morning and decide, right, I want to go and do this today. Whatever that is, forget the financial cost of it. They can't wake up and go, I want to go and play golf. Maybe not, because they're so tied to that business. Whereas someone who's earning way less, got a way less net worth, can actually wake up and think, today I'm going to go with my family to the beach. And that's true wealth, in my opinion, being able to go and do what you want, when you want, at the time you want, whether that is go and work in your business. Because what they did say is the personality trait of billionaires possibly is that they just want to go and continue to build their business. But I think, yeah, mindset is a very interesting one. And I think that is what us as humanity should be focusing on, instilling in the children of today, because it's a huge test right now. This is the first generations that are growing up around social media and where the world is going, AI coming in. And I think ultimately, if we can just keep the mindset of happiness and drive in our children is where the world needs to point.
It's interesting that you'd mentioned that the billionaires sometimes could find themselves very unhappy or not able to do what they want to do. You're obviously a millionaire at a young age, but now the question becomes, do you want to become a billionaire? Is that what you're working towards?
I think maybe that might have been the goal once upon a time.
Has it changed?
I mean, I'm also very aware that whether you've got 100 million in the bank or $1 billion in the bank, I don't think it really would change your lifestyle so much. I think I've always wanted to you get a lot of satisfaction from what you do as well. So I do want to do something that one day I look back on and I go, wow, I'm proud that I did that, as in achieved something. What that is, I can't quite figure it out, whether it's becoming the biggest real estate agent in Dubai or what that is. I'm not so sure. I think, again, like I said, I live day to day, so I know what my mission is right now. But I think my day-to-day happiness is not impacted by my earnings or how wealthy I am, to be honest, which is, again, I think massively impacted by living in Dubai. I think living in Dubai gives you so much more than potentially living in the UK, where everything's such a rat race and you can't wait to go on holiday and spend your money. Whereas here, every day is a holiday. Even though I work all the time, I think being here provides such a different purpose.
In terms of a parent watching and saying, look, my 30-year-old is not going out there and conquering the world and doing this, and wondering, what did his parents get right? Or what in his upbringing was right? Because I think a lot of investor parents who'd watch the podcast are quite interested in knowing about the person they're investing with, especially because some of them will be buying apartments for their children, buying apartments for the next generation. What do you believe was the right thing that happened to you in your upbringing? Or what did your parents get right with you?
Wow, such a tough question. I mean, I've got quite a broken family. So my parents actually split up before I can even remember. So I've always had two families as such, very, very different. Both added huge value to me in very different walks of life. But I think my mother, where she is the kindest lady on the planet, but also the hardest working lady on the planet, I feel like I owe her to sit back and say she's proud of me. I think that's my number one purpose. But it also makes myself proud. I think being proud is the best emotion in the world, whether that's of yourself, whether that's of someone else. You know how nice it makes you feel when your friend who you gave a bit of advice to goes and gets what they wanted, and how proud you feel and how nice that makes you feel. I think we're all very selfish in terms of how we want to feel. But I think feeling proud of someone else because you know they're happy is the best emotion on the planet.
In terms of a young person watching or a parent watching, and they've got a question to say, well, my child is sort of sitting at home, smoking pot, doing all the wrong things. And they're saying, how do I sort of get my child out of that mentality into the go get your dreams in Dubai mentality that you're on?
Wow, that's quite a deep question. I think I'm a massive believer in experience. I think in order to be such a rounded individual, you need to experience an awful lot of things. If you've only sort of been in the dialed-in, drilled mindset kind of path, you won't have enough experience to make the right decisions in other angles of life. So I'll be truly honest with you. I've made awful decisions that have impacted my personal situation and maybe the way that others perceive me. But I think those were so important experiences to making the right decisions now. I think the way that I stay so happy and the way I stay so driven and that comes through previous experience. So I think experiencing all of these different situations for however long period of time you need to experience them to really realize the detrimental effect of them is important. So any parent who's got a child right now who potentially is going down the wrong path, I think ultimately if you can encourage to get out and realize they're going down the wrong path, it's not the end of the world. Tomorrow is a new day. Things can change and change very quickly. As long as they see the light of, if this is how you want to live, you're doing the right thing. Whereas if you want to change your life, you need to learn that you're doing the wrong thing. And once you learn that, whether that's the hard way to the absolute bottom of the barrel, you need to learn that lesson in order to know, right, in the future, I will not make that choice. I'll make the right one.
Someone once asked me a question and said, if you had children, how would you train your children to be successful? And my answer was very controversial, and I've never shared it with anybody, but I'll share it with you because I want to hear your answer.
Yeah, a great way to look at it, because I actually look at some of my peers who really have come from absolutely nothing, have built themselves up from their own sort of mind, I don't know, reading, watching, learning from others. They've built their own mindset and they've pulled themselves out of where they were. But I think the number one key is to lead by example. So if you've got a child, if you're not leading by example, they're not going to really listen to a word that you say.
But wouldn't it be difficult if you're already wealthy? Let's say you're living that life where you have everything now.
Not really. I mean, my mother again is, and my grandfather are super, super strict in terms of their spending, their lifestyle. They don't necessarily live an extravagant lifestyle. And that's how they've amassed certain wealth, if you want to see it like that. And I guess I
Why are you
knew
so afraid of saying that they've amassed wealth? Why do you sort of limit it to?
because I don't want it to portray that I'm sat here today with a nice watch on because I've been given it.
But we all know that you're not because we're hearing you speak. Do you feel that is that a cloud you're afraid of?
Yeah, for sure.
You don't want
I think actually this is quite a good one because it's always been quite a big driver for me that I've wanted to prove or earn my own value, and I think.
Wouldn't it be greater to build?
Don't get me wrong. Actually, I will never get away from those comments. And again, I think this comes back to mindset of really what other people think of you is absolutely irrelevant. How you think of yourself is super important. So, forgetting or not taking on board what other people say, and I think a negative comment is only true if you believe it yourself. So whatever someone says to me, I'll take it at face value until I really digest what that actually means and whether I agree with it, and then I'll let it affect me. And if a comment does affect me, I'll take it very seriously and I will try to change the part of me that I don't like. But I do think, just going back to the children of today, I think leading by example and really trying to be that figure is super important.
You've said some very loaded things today, but I want to sort of give you an opportunity. We have this segment where we say, what is the one thing or what is the one question you would love someone to ask you in a podcast that I haven't asked you today?
Wow, that's quite hard. I think I don't know. You've caught me off the guard there.
Really?
What's the one thing I would like to be asked?
Yeah. That you've often thought to say.
I guess, am I proud of myself? Not yet. I think I'm on the way to making myself proud. But I think going back to previous decisions that I made in my life that really set me back. I'm 30 years of age and I feel like I should be much further forward than I am right now. To many individuals on the podcast that are watching the podcast, they might think, well, you're doing very well.
Yes.
And if you saw me three years ago, I was completely drained at the bottom of the barrel in terms of my business going under and didn't know what I was going to do with my life. So I think it's super important to realize you can turn things around very, very quickly, but you do need to be extremely disciplined. And I'm still yet to get to where I need to be to make myself proud, but I'm on the way. So yeah, I think that if I had to ask myself a question, that would probably be what it is, because you need to keep reminding yourself as well, your why. Why are you doing this? Who are you doing it for? Are you doing it for you? Doing it for your family? Are you doing it for, ultimately, you're doing it for your future, whether that's your future children, whether that is your parents, if you need to support them as they get older. Whatever you're doing it for, you need to think of the why you're doing it and remind yourself every day and come back to the small steps to stay in line.
I love that. In this podcast, we support the Mpho Foundation, a foundation that I started that supports orphans in South Africa. We train young people. We teach people how to use tech. We train young entrepreneurs. And we always encourage each person who comes on the podcast to give a donation, any amount from 100 dirhams to whatever you feel. But we always ask you to give us a challenge as well for the podcast, to say, for every 100 views that we get on the podcast, you're willing to donate this much towards the foundation. So what is your challenge for us today?
I guess I need to calculate what I'm going to say here.
With your sales, maybe not.
Look, I'll start with 1,000 dirhams. And then let's say for every 10,000 views, I'll give another 1,000 dirhams.
Thank you. Thank you very much.
Is that? Yeah. I don't know how. I went through the YouTube channel to see previous views, and I think some of them have maybe got 100,000 views. So I need to.
You need to be careful there.
You need to be careful. But yeah, I think that's fantastic. I would love to look into more of what you do. Obviously, I was just down in Zimbabwe, and what a place. I think the people of Africa are incredible. That was the best thing that I learned there. The energy, the excitement for life was key. And it was really interesting to be one of sort of the only British there and have these conversations about sort of what it's like where I come from, and just seeing how happy everyone is was incredible.
Well, thank you so much for that powerful donation. We're going to ask you our signature questions that we ask all our guests, and these questions are structured in a way that they're reflective and you're able to answer them off the cuff. If your life were a book, what is the title of the chapter that you're writing right now?
The chapter of the title of the chapter that I'm writing.
Yes.
Wow. Okay. He who dares wins. I think if you don't put yourself out there and you don't go for it, you're never going to get it. So I think everything is there for the taking for anyone who tries. Now, when I started in real estate here, I remember for the first 3 months, I remember thinking I will never, ever get a grasp on... I understood the projects I was talking about, but I couldn't get a grasp on what had happened previously. And that was really what taught me to study the history of Dubai, the previous performance of the market, and why an investment is a good investment, because you need to know what's happened in order to predict what's going to happen. So I think, I think if you don't really go for it, so I gain a lot of my investors through social media. If I didn't put myself out on social media, I never would have got those investors. So again, it's no matter what walk of life you're in, you need to really put yourself out there. I think that's key.
If you could go back in time and speak to your younger self, what is the one piece of advice you would advise him?
Tomorrow is a new day, but you need to make the most of it. So if today hasn't gone very well, do not let it eat you up tomorrow, but you need to make sure you make tomorrow a better day. I think it's very easy to get yourself in a bit of a rut and a mindset that is hard to get out of. But if you make the right decisions tomorrow, in 3 days' time, you're going to feel completely different about how you felt yesterday. So every day you can make better. And look, I read a book once, and it was a graph. Each day doesn't necessarily need to be up, but you need to make sure the week is up. So by the end of the week in the month, you need to make sure your graph is on a steady incline. Whereas you might have a day where you go down or 2 days where you go down, but you need to make sure that week overall is on the up. So if you can consistently live life like that, you will move forwards. We can all make bad decisions, and we all will make bad decisions. I'm sure I'm going to make plenty more bad decisions in my life, but you need to make sure that every day, or every week and every month ends on an incline, not a decline.
What is the one thing you want people to remember about you when your career is over?
What, from my career?
Yes.
Career specifically, I think... I came into Dubai real estate with zero network, as in you get quite a lot of people who can come into the industry and do well through their previous network. So whether that's family network, previous life, business life, and they come in with quite a powerful network of wealthy individuals who will invest or connect them. I actually came into the industry with very, very little network that could benefit me quickly, which is why I went down the social media arm of raising awareness on social media. And I think just coming into the industry from nothing and becoming a valuable advisor, I think is the right word. I don't think success, I think providing the right value. So all the investments. So I've actually got a spreadsheet of every investment my investors have made. When the time is right, I will put the performance. So when they exit the investment, I'll put the performance of that investment. So I'm actually building a bit of a fund. You could assume, because even though the individual investors won't see the fund, I will see how my fund is performing. Wow. So that's how I kind of track, making sure that every investment is important to me. So I think maybe if we look at it from that point of view, maybe not how I'm remembered, but I think my overall value provided was very, very good.
What is something simple that makes you the happiest, no matter what is going on in the world?
Something simple that makes me the happiest. Seeing the people around me happy, but being proud. So I brought my little brother over in September because he's 23, and I know that this is the right place for him to be, in terms of the people around you, in terms of the facilities, the lifestyle. And I know bringing him over and just seeing him flourish here, and he's met a new girlfriend and he's really, really happy. He's loving life, and that provides happiness to my mum. That their life is completely changed because we're here and we're happy and we're doing what we want to do. Seeing my family happy back home and proud is what makes me happy. And like, it's just a circle of seeing other people happy is key, because that makes me so happy.
Wow, I love that. If you could change one thing in the world today, what would it be?
Oh, if I could change one thing in the world, I have to be careful what I say here. I don't know whether it's. I try to live my life without really giving any verbal attack on anyone. I think there's a lot of negativity that gets thrown publicly. So whether that's over social media, whether that's in person, let someone else do what they want to do. You can't control what they do, and they have full right to do what they want to do, but don't necessarily throw negative comments towards that. I think there's too much negativity in the world. If I could get rid of negativity, I think that's what I would do. But that's a very tough question, because there's so many large things going on in the world right now that you could say, I'll get rid of that, or get rid of world hunger, but get rid of cancer. I mean, there's loads of things that we could say. I think from a controllable point of view, I think negativity, people spread negativity too much, and it really creates such a bad atmosphere.
What is a big fear that you're still working to overcome in your life?
That's I don't want to make it around business, but it's a business podcast, so failure. I've got a big fear of not fulfilling my potential. I know what my potential is, and I know that if I carry on the path that I'm on, I will be proud and make my mum proud. And I think if I don't fulfill my potential, then I've potentially failed. Now, again, you could ask what I need to do in order to feel like I've achieved that potential. I don't actually know yet. I feel like I'm on the path to it, but I think not fulfilling my potential is a big worry of mine.
What does true success really look like beyond the titles, the network? What does it really look like for you?
I often get questioned when I think I'll settle down and have a family. I think family is super important, and that will one day be my goal. So sorry, repeat the question.
What does true success really look like beyond the titles and the network? I think you just having a family for you.
Yeah, I think family, of course, will come into it at some point. I think until I'm in a position to have a family comfortably and be.
Is it because you haven't met the correct person?
Possibly. That could.
Okay.
There's a few factors to knowing when the time is right. I think meeting the right person is key. I think being financially in a position where I know that I'm secure is key. And actually having their future secured. So I think a lot of people, and as bad as this is, because I think reproduction is the key to life, and I think it's getting later and later and later, and I'm certainly not in the position yet, but I think also too many people have children and families before they can financially support it to do it comfortably. And I think that is something that I'm very conscious of, and I want to be in a financial position where I can confidently raise my children and give them the energy and the time that I need. Because I'm so tied to my business right now that I wouldn't be able to give them the energy that I need in order to make it enjoyable. So I think success for me would be in a position, as we discussed earlier, the billionaires who can't really give their time to what they want to do. I want to be in a position where I can give my family my time, and that will be success for me.
If you had to start everything from zero today, no platform, what's the first thing that you would do?
I think the internet is such a key part. If I wasn't doing what I was doing now, I would really be studying AI and how AI is going to take over the world. But I do think networking is obviously absolutely key. And the reason that I focus on social media is because you can reach so many more people. So I think building a business within networking, within social media and AI would be my focus, which I do think will come into the real estate market very quickly. And it already is. It already is taking over. Well, it's not taking over from an agent point of view. I think agents will always be needed. You need the human psychology of real estate. But I do think I need to get on top of it.
And last thing, what is the legacy that you want to build out of your life?
I don't know. I just want to be remembered as a really nice guy, really nice, hardworking, genuine person who has a good reputation, and I think it's very key to go back to some of your earlier questions where your past does not define you, your future does. So I think I've made bad decisions in my life where certain individuals might have certain opinions of me, but I can only control what I can control moving forwards. And I think I've learned that from the experiences that we discussed earlier. You need to experience making the wrong decisions in order to make the right ones moving forwards. And I think overall, I want to just be remembered as a very genuine, happy, hardworking, nice person.
Thank you so much.
No worries. Thank you very much for having me.